Bonjour Penguins and welcome to Pat Panks Cast, the show that dives you into the world as I see it. I'm Patrick, your host, and today we're hitting part 4 of the Paris Olympics saga with a more general kind of discussion post-Olympics, talking about the opening ceremony, the competitions and the gossips and the scandals, as well as the closing ceremony with Natasha, my co-host, Teresa and Jessie. So grab your beret and let's sprint into the wild world of the Paris 2024 Olympics. Stay tuned. Bonjour, and welcome to episode 16, Paris Olympics part 4 of season 1, pardon my Parisian, of my podcast. Hi, Natasha.
Hello.
Teresa is still with us also.
I'm still alive.
You're still alive. And you're going to face a lot of questions during this episode, Teresa, because you were so pessimistic in the previous episodes, and we're going to be asking you questions.
I stand by it.
And we still have Jesse with us here as well. He was part of segment 3, obviously, where we talked about Paris Olympics through the eyes of a volunteer. Let's start by the beginning, which is the opening ceremony, right?
Yeah,
so,
we'll start at the start.
Start at the start. Yeah. First of all, we made it on the Seine River, right, Teresa? Did you see the boats, Teresa? Did you end up seeing the boat?
And they did it in the rain.
And we did it in the rain.
They did it in the rain. I was really proud of this bateau mouche that they took and that they put those people on and they rolled them down the river in the rain.
See, that's a positive. That's a positive comment from Teresa.
Wow, I was very happy that there were so many delegations and it was lovely.
It was a really cool opening ceremony. As someone that literally canceled my plans that day to be able to watch the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
Because it's always a fun spectacle. I really do think that it was probably the coolest one because it's never been done this way before in all the various parts of Paris instead of just in a stadium. And the fact that it was in the rain.
It's like these clouds gathered that specific moment to watch the opening ceremony as well.
Yeah. And I think the rain actually added some sort of, I wasn't. I didn't have to be there in the rain. So, but
yeah,
a Parisian feel to it.
It actually added another element, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. And I heard, what we heard here in America was because it was in all these different parts of Paris, it had never really been run through top to bottom before because it was too hard
you couldn't rehearse the whole thing. Obviously.
Yeah. And so the fact that it all worked, and I was so nervous for all the dancers and acrobats and stuff because it was raining. I was like, they're going to slip. Someone's going to get hurt. But as far as I know, no one got hurt. So good.
It was surprising to see all these acrobats and all these dancers doing their thing as if nothing happened. Even, the pianists, the singers, everybody was doing what he had to do, in a so professional and artistic way, while it was raining. It never rained that much in Paris. I think, it was so weird. So, it was as you said, it was really very surprising.
And I think as heavy as it was raining didn't come across on TV as much. Plus, I think this opening ceremony was really cool for me because I had you as an inside scoop.
Yeah, we were texting live. Correct.
So, because I remember at one point I said, "Oh, did it stop raining?" Because it didn't look that rainy, and you were like, "No, it is downpouring," and I was like, "It doesn't look that bad on TV."
It was downpouring in the entire city. It's crazy. Yeah. It didn't stop at all and actually it started raining at 6 p.m. knowing that the ceremony starts at 7:30 p.m.
Yeah.
So it started raining an hour.
Just in time. Yeah. And I waited in line in order to get into my seats. So.
Oh, you had a seat in the opening ceremony?
Yeah, we got tickets. And
we will have an inside scoop then.
And I think we didn't really sit down in our seats until right before the opening ceremony is about to start. Yeah. So it's essentially we sat right down and then it starts to rain and Lady Gaga is performing.
Oh. Yeah. Crazy.
But did you feel like it was worth it? Sorry, to have the seats because it was in so many different places. Did you feel like it was worth it to have paid for a place in the opening ceremony?
I think it was a bit overpriced. And I also got discounted tickets to see it because I think we went to category B seats. Mm-hmm. Officially, it was being sold at 1,600 euros. It's definitely not worth 1,600 euros. And I got discounted pricing because on the resale side, some people are selling it at much cheaper price, and we got it for 400 euros per person. And I still think 400 euros is a bit much.
But you know what?
Because was it all on the screen? Was it on the screen, or what were you seeing in front
I was
of
just
you
gonna say, where were your seats?
Yeah,
exactly?
where were your seats?
Yeah, and they were advertising that category A and B are gonna be much better because you can actually see some of the
performances.
Performances and some of the landmark buildings in Paris. But we couldn't really see anything.
What could you see? Because everybody was in a different place.
Yeah,
we were. was on the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, we were supposed to be able to see a little bit of the Louvre and the Grand Palais, the Grand Palace. But no, all we could see was trees because they were behind the trees across the river. So,
watching it on TV, I got to see everything, and it was all really good.
And for all the performances, we could.
This
only
is an
see it on
opening
the screen.
ceremony that is to be seen on TV. But I mean, it's also an opening. I mean, even being there, you're not gonna see the entire show because you're not in a stadium, obviously.
Right.
But being part of the fact that it's the first opening ceremony that is not being done in a stadium is just for that thing. I think it's cool to have been part of.
Yes.
To say that I was part of the opening ceremony that wasn't done in a stadium. Also to see also to see the athletes prep. What did you say?
That was better on TV.
Exactly. You were there live for something that was better on TV.
Patrick, where were you during the opening ceremony?
I did say that it looked better on TV. I did say that. But still, I mean, I would feel like I'm trying to to comfort him, guys.
It's okay. Like, I really still enjoy the experience.
No, but still, I still feel that you were part of it. So it was still nice. Did you see the athletes? At least the boats going?
Yeah, the boats came by, and I was able to snap some shots of the boats of the delegations. But it got dark quickly because of the raining.
And how long was the delegation? Like, it was long, right? There's a lot of delegations, right?
Yeah. Originally, as they were announcing the delegations on the screen on TV, we weren't able to see the boats because they were further down the river.
Okay.
And then as the opening ceremony went on, they kind of lagged behind us. So now we've seen some of the delegation sailing past us, and they're still announcing some of the earlier delegations that we've seen.
Even on TV, it was broken up kind of weird like that. Because past opening ceremonies, it would be everybody walking in and then everybody performs like for the delegates and stuff. It's like once they're in, everybody performs. But this was like, we saw a few delegations and then it was like Lady Gaga. We saw a few delegations, then it was like Can. We saw a few delegations and then it was, so it was definitely.
And it's because of the fact that the boats are not arriving at the same time, and also because it's a 6-kilometer route. So obviously you cannot, present everybody at once and then do it. So they had to split it. I saw a video explaining how they did it, and it was really very difficult because they needed to calculate the speed of every boat and time it in a way that this boat would be at this very specific location at this exact right time, because this is when this boat will be announced, and this boat is supposed to be announced there. Very fine-tuned in terms of timing, taking into consideration the speed of the boats and so on. So it was really very difficult to manage, I guess. This video was showing Tony Estanguet trying to coordinate all of this during one of the rehearsals that they've done prior to the opening ceremony. So I'm sure it was very difficult for the organizers to organize all of this.
Okay,
but great. Aya was great. Just to say, Aya Nakamura was great. She was amazing. It was iconic.
you were right about her and Celine, which was not totally confirmed until like the day before. Like that.
And now she's gonna go to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, probably. I mean,
residency.
she's had a residency there before too, so I could see her doing it again. But I literally cried. Like I cried because she's had all these health issues, and it was affecting her voice. She didn't know if she'd be able to sing like that still, and like so it was just like. Oh, Celine, it was so good. Yeah.
It was really very, very touching. The location where she was singing from, like she was singing from the first floor of the Eiffel Tower. Wow. I mean, this view, you don't get to see this view every day, especially with Celine. I mean, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. It will never happen again at any point. The entire city will never look the same again, the way it looked during that opening ceremony. And it was, with all these people.
I was also really happy for the dancers. For the dancers and the artists and the drag performers who got to perform. It was like a lot of people who were like really active in the community.
Yeah.
And so that was super great to see all those folks. I mean, the backlash, which I feel like is really unfortunate.
I was going to ask if that was just American outrage.
There was an outrage in America as well.
So,
Of course there was.
Everywhere,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
So they said the whole drag setup, a bunch of people, they misinterpreted it as the Last Supper.
Which was
With
not,
drag
by the way,
queen.
which is not
And
the
it
Last
was
Supper.
not the Last Supper. It was Dionysus something or
Correct.
other.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was like supposed to be a nod to Greece, which is,
Correct.
you know, and then of course people here were like, how dare they? But it's also, even if it was the Last Supper, you don't think some drag performers are Christian? Like, you don't, like, plus the Last Supper was also just Da Vinci did it. Like, it's not a real photo or anything. Like, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And also reenacting it wouldn't be so bad. Like,
it's not that it's something sacred. It's not that it's something sacred. Now, sensibilities. Some people are outraged by. I mean, people are outraged by anything right now. You know.
Right, anything,
I was only aware of the American outrage.
But I was not aware that America
Like
was
that,
outraged as well. Which I mean, every outrage has to be listened to, because sometimes, you know, if you offended someone, you need to understand why.
It's not.
I mean,
no, they're literally, it's online bullying and harassment, and it's not legal. And that's why a lot of those performers, they've taken on lawyers, and they're like, we're going to find you. And we're
obviously,
also
when it takes
charges,
that much
right?
proportion, of course, everything should be done peacefully. So what I was trying to say is that if they had something to say, they have the right to say. They have the right to be offended if they want to be offended, but they have to be offended in a peaceful
Some of
way.
them take it to another level.
Yeah,
and I didn't see it as the Last Supper at all. I literally was like, it just looked like a party to me. Like, you know, because in the middle was just like the DJ thing and like.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, like I didn't see that at all
to be
until
honest,
someone was like.
Exactly. To be honest as well, same as you, I haven't even made the link between the Last Supper and what I was seeing on TV during the opening ceremony.
In America, I did watch it live, but the way they cut away during that part, we didn't see as like, I saw later the screenshot of the guy on the table with a like feast around him or whatever. I did not actually see that live. I just saw the panning out of everybody, and then they would cut to the runway sometimes, because I literally did not see the guy on the tape. You know what I'm talking about?
Philippe Catherine. He's called Philippe Catherine. Yeah, he's a French comedian.
I saw that later in like a screenshot. Like I never actually saw it when I watched it.
Really? You did not see Philippe Catherine live on TV?
Scene, but not.
Wow.
No.
The guy that was painted in blue.
Yeah, I saw that in screenshots later, like online. I didn't see it on the show. I also wondered if it was here in America, if it was an NBC thing where they got scared and cut away.
Wow.
I mean, I guess it's possible that different nations made some editorial choices.
Right?
But I don't know if they are capable of doing it live, and if they're capable of, because actually how it works, the way it works is for the Olympics, there's a company called OBS. OBS is the main broadcasting company. So there's only one broadcasting company, only one company that is filming, that is at all the competition venues and the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony, which is called OBS. OBS distributes the images and everything that OBS is filming to the rest of the world. So OBS is doing the whole job. There's only one company doing this one and only job.
Yeah, but it's not live in the U.S. because live TV hasn't existed since Janet Jackson.
True. It's technically delayed. There's like a
delay.
Yeah, but it's like a 5-second delay. We didn't have that much delay. We were texting. We were texting together, Tasha, and we were like on the same page. I mean,
it was pretty much the same when we were texting back and forth. But I still just think I did see parts of it, but mostly what I saw was like the runway stuff, like more of just the dancing and runway stuff. Yeah. Which I thought was good. The part that I was surprised people didn't get more upset about was they kind of alluded to a threesome in that one segment. Yeah. And I was like a menage a trois. And
I completely missed that.
Yeah, I missed
that. I don't recall that at all.
It was a pre-recorded part where they're kind of like, it was about how, you know, Paris is the city of love and blah, blah. And they were like in a library or something, and they were running around, then there's 3 people in this room, and then one kind of winks and shuts the door. I thought more people were going to be upset about that.
I know. And now I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Come on, French culture is all about
freaks.
It's all about that.
Yeah.
Well, no, but that's, I mean, it's called the menage a trois. I mean,
there's a reason why the word is in French. You know, come on.
I honestly, and again, part of the Olympics is the host country.
Yeah.
saying like, this is what we are. And so like deal with it or go away. Like, I don't know.
I agree. But
Yeah.
but again, you had a remark when we were texting. You asked me a couple of times like, who is this and who is that? And you're right to answer to ask these questions, because the opening ceremony was very French, and they have the right. And I agree with the fact that it should be very French. But I can understand also that some foreign viewers might have like, who's that? What is this scene about? Because it was full of references. The way we do shows in France is more of less of a big, huge show, but more of a subtle cultural references that we like to emphasize on. And this is how we appreciate a show in France.
Americans are just dumb and they didn't get the subtleties.
And we also like see that with singers. Like French singers are not singers necessarily with the most powerful voice. French singers can be singers probably singing in a way that would be probably talking, but they have a way to interpret what they're saying in a very poetic and artistic way. And this is how French enjoy art. However, there's no good or bad way or stupid or unstupid way, like you're saying. Like, for example, in the US, the way you appreciate art is power. We need to have Christina Aguilera, shooting all these high notes, because this is how you appreciate art. And it's, this is the way you do, and it's not wrong, neither. So it's just different. And that's how, the opening ceremony was as well. But what I'm actually surprised of is that a lot of people who enjoy the show, the American kind of shows, still enjoyed the Paris opening ceremony, even though I
loved it.
Yeah, so
there
it was
a lot of big moments. There was a lot of big,
because there was a big moments. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that upset people was the Marie Antoinette head chopping
head
thing.
chopping.
But I thought that was cool. Like, because all of a sudden going from like da 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 da, and then it was like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I love that it took like a heavy metal turn, like
with a French band, with a very known French heavy metal band. Yeah.
And there's like flames, and I was into it.
On the conciergerie, for the note, it was the conciergerie building, and it's the building where Marie Antoinette was. So yeah, it was. And French, we are known for being rebels and rebellion and revolution. So
Les Mis was part of it too, like the song from Les Mis.
Yeah, so that was part of it. That was showing this image. Revolution, showing this part with Marie Antoinette was kind of like a reference to our way of working, our way of living. So why not?
Let them eat cake.
Let it be.
And Phantom of the Opera was part of it too.
Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah. Actually, I had a running theory the entire time I was watching it. I was thinking, I know that Celine Dion is going to be in this, and she's going to be this, really surprising appearance at the end. Maybe she was the Phantom who was holding that torch the whole time.
I thought so too.
Yeah. You texted me saying, what if it's Celine Dion?
Oh, yeah. And revealed to be Celine Dion.
Because, again, now I'm feeling like I maybe didn't see every part of it. Did they ever reveal who the masked thing was?
No.
Or was it
it was just a Phantom
the whole time?
No.
Okay.
No, it stayed under his mask or behind his mask.
My only complaint about the opening ceremony was once they put the torch like in the boat with Serena Williams and Nadia Comaneci and whatever, that part then took way too long. Like I thought the hands off Scott.
Yeah.
I'm like, can we just light it already? Like it just kind of took a long time.
Yeah, I had that feeling too. But I guess, they were trying to get on the boat and sail across the whole Seine River so everybody could see it.
6 kilometers.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
I know. It just Well, and then once they even got back on land, it was like, oh yeah, Tony Parker. There were some, it was like kind of cool. But then it was like every 2 feet, a new athlete was at.
Yeah.
I'm like, can we just light this thing? Like it just was taking a long time.
Yeah, it was definitely extra long comparing to some other opening ceremonies. That we've seen.
And then at the end it was Teddy Riner that did that, and that was
the Olympic cauldron.
Olympic cauldron, and that was one hell of a surprise. I mean, when we never.
Yeah, and it wasn't really a cauldron. It's supposed to be sort of like a hot air balloon kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't actually fire, right? It was kind of an illusion.
Luckily, because there's a hot air balloon just beside it. So no, it's an illusion. It's like a water vapor with light work to make it look like a real flame, but it was not a real flame. But it really was very impressive because you would see it and you would definitely say that it was a real flame, even from
it hovered the whole time, right?
Even from up close. Every night at 10:30 p.m. it would fly. Obviously,
if it's not raining,
or if it's not very windy. So there is a couple of days or 3 days where it did not float.
Okay, so are we done with the opening ceremony?
Yeah, we're done with the opening ceremony. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to ask the people that were there, who was like the most famous? Like, did you see Snoop Dogg anywhere?
Yep. I
You
saw
did
Snoop
see
Dogg.
Snoop?
Yep. I saw him
You
from
saw Snoop Dogg in person?
I saw him
Wow.
from far away because if I knew that he was around, I would have like got closer. I saw him when he actually held the torch.
Oh, yeah.
At some point, he was next to the stadium, Stade de France, and since the Olympic Aquatic Center is just next to the Stade de France, we were able to see him across from the bridge. So yeah, if I knew that he would be there on time, I would have like probably crossed the bridge or did something to go see him up close. He held the torch that day when we were actually doing an event outside of the aquatic center, and we had a view on what's happening also around the stadium. So yeah. But I've seen Tom Daly, which who is a celebrity. He's a diver. Who else? Like some French celebrities, like divers like Alexis Gendard. You know, there's a story to this guy because when they did the test event of the aquatic center back in May 2024, Emmanuel Macron came to the aquatic center in order to inaugurate the place, and then he had to dive in front of the president with two other divers, and while diving he slipped and he fell on the springboard and he injured himself badly, and then he landed in the water like in a very chaotic way.
In the induction ceremony,
in the opening, in the test event ceremony in front of the French president. So,
but he like healed enough to still make it to the Olympics.
And he was
like,
he was already qualified, obviously.
Okay.
But he took it so in a very positive way. He used this on social media because he was the one who posted the video online. And actually,
I remember
it went
that,
viral.
right.
You remember that?
Yeah,
now?
I remember
so
that.
It went viral. He gained a lot of followers, and a lot of people actually now know him and love him because the way he took it.
Yeah.
He took it in a very positive way and
self-deprecating kind of. Yeah, I messed up. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a trend going around during the Olympics. I don't know if it was big there, but people saying like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't make the 2024 Olympic team this year," and then people posting their like sport fails from elementary school or high school or whatever. And Suni Lee, one of our gymnasts, she had a pretty awkward fall on the balance beam final, and she posted it and was like, "Well, I did make the team and I did this," or you know what I mean? She kind of joked about it. So
that's funny.
Like,
it's funny too when the athletes take these fails in a funny way.
Yeah,
it's actually
even just their general use of social media this time around. Like, well,
yes.
Maybe because the last time in Japan there was no spectators as well. Maybe that was something of it. But
I think I heard that they loosened the rules too. Like there used to be more rules about where you could film and not film and stuff. I think it's what I read somewhere. So this time they were leaning into the fact that like, no, we want people to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And, you know,
like especially in the Olympic Village and in the rooms, I was a little shocked that there was like so much content from the village and stuff like that. Even talking about how the muffins were so good, there was no more chicken left over. You know, so I just felt like they were giving a lot of information and behind the scenes, which was really cool.
And I have a question as an American because I feel like, Patrick, we ask you about air conditioning a lot. Because
I have a story on air conditioning.
I was going to say, some of our gymnasts posted their Olympic Village rooms and they had air conditioners. Did they bring them themselves?
Really? Wow.
Certain countries brought them. Certain U.S. brought them. And then some other countries, like when they were like, it's too hot, like they can't. Certain countries brought them for all their athletes. Yeah.
Okay, because I was pretty sure they weren't.
Well, I don't know if the Olympic Village was designed with air conditioning. I don't know.
No. They said
it's definitely not.
It's definitely not. So you know, right? So you've been there, so you see.
No, like I read an article about it, but I also visit there and.
Okay, so they brought their mobile.
So
PCs?
like, I mean, if any athlete actually had air conditioners, they definitely brought it themselves.
Oh wow! Okay.
No, the countries, certain countries,
Yeah, the one that Suni Lee showed, it looked kind of like, it wasn't like an window AC or anything. It was like in the room, almost looked like, we would call it like a dehumidifier or something.
I see.
Like that.
That's the one I got.
But it had a hose that like went out the window.
That's the one I have. That's the one I have here because we're not allowed to have a window AC.
Yeah, so they had those kind. Yeah, I was told also that it was like, was not provided for them, like just they brought them.
Okay, I did not know that.
No, certain countries they did them for them because they were like, it's too hot, and they complained, and they were like, no, like
which I can understand. Since the first day I started working as a volunteer in the aquatic center, the US team was the team that was complaining the most about the lack of AC.
Oh, complaining.
So when they arrived, they were very upset that the bus that they took did not have AC, and they arrived and they were like sweating and they were like hot and so on. And then so they requested to have always, whenever the U.S. athletes are coming back and forth from the village to the aquatic center, they requested the transportation team to make sure that the bus is a bus equipped with AC. So, but we only had that, request from the American delegation.
I was told that complaining is part of American culture.
No, yeah.
It is.
we have two examples here.
Were all the venues not air conditioned as well?
Ours was, but what about you?
I mean, some venues that are indoors definitely have like temperature control for sure, but not all of the venues are indoors. Like the beach volleyball one in front of the Eiffel Tower is completely outdoors.
What about the Grand Palais? Have you been to the Grand Palais?
The Grand Palais, yeah, I went there for Taekwondo. And,
was it AC?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Okay. I was just curious because even watching gymnastics, they weren't all sweating and stuff, so I assumed that was air conditioned and stuff like that. But
yeah, I think they obviously planned for that. Whenever there's a competition inside a landmark or inside a building, they would probably plan for it to be AC'd for sure, or else it's unbearable because we had
so many people in there, and stuff,
especially that we had 3 or 4 days where the temperature was almost hitting 90 Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius. So
I will say that I've never once noticed the air conditioning to be very cold.
Yeah.
Like the way I do always, in New York.
In America.
Yeah.
It's freezing in here all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be freezing.
Well, it's same in the aquatic center. It is temperature controlled, but you never feel like, sometimes you'd feel like it could have been like a degree last week.
Yeah.
It was still bearable.
We definitely overdo it in the States for sure. But
I mean,
Simone Biles actually shared a story where she was on one of the buses and she had a comment, because I get why she's frustrated, but like people would always comment on her hair during competitions and stuff. Like, just let the girl flip. Like, who cares what her hair looks like? But anyway, she posted a thing saying like, I just wanted you to see my hair before, because the bus isn't AC'd and this is before I put all my garb on, and she's like, I did my hair, so just stop yelling at me like I did it. But and I remember saying before that I didn't think Simone Biles would stay in the Olympic Village, but she did.
That's what in one of our previous episodes you said that these guys would have a hotel in the center, but no.
Our basketball team stayed somewhere else, I believe, because they showed them coming in and out of it looked more like a hotel or something. But Simone stayed in the Village, and I remember one of my friends was like, well, yeah, but she's all about the team and camaraderie and stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I just assumed it would be more of like a security issue, or she'd just get bothered a lot by other athletes, because some of these athletes are just pretty famous in their own right or whatever.
Well, she posted something about that, and she was like, yeah, sometimes it was a little overwhelming, so I would stay in the room, you know what I mean, and not really go out so much.
Yeah, as far as I know, the U.S. basketball team is the only athlete team that stayed outside of the Olympic Village.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much everyone else.
It's definitely on brand.
Yeah.
Stayed at the Village. Yeah.
But they all got money. Like, they're not gonna sleep on a cardboard bed. And I can't see Kevin Durant even fitting on one of those cardboard beds. Like, they are huge people.
Yeah.
Like, they're not gonna stay in somebody's lodge. Like, they're not. No.
Speaking of basketball, France gave us a run for our money, women's and men's.
See. I mean, I was very proud, even though we lost the basketball finals, but it was not
Silver's nothing to sneeze at, though. I mean,
The difference, the point
and
difference,
the women's game came down to the final shot at the buzzer. If her toe would have been back, it would have been a tie. There would have been overtime. Like, it was close.
It was close. And for us to be close to an American level of basketball, it is something.
Yeah. And the men almost lost to Serbia before the final game. I literally was like, oh my, I
think that's more like, I think the US teams get too cocky and they're like, we can just show up, play, and win. And it's like, no, you're about to lose to Serbia, babe. So it's like, I mean, no, whatever to Serbia, but you should not have to. It shouldn't be so big of a struggle to win.
Yeah. No, and the Serbia game was. And even as an American, there were times they'd show, especially the basketball team, on the sideline, really hooting and hollering. And I'm like, we don't need to rub it in their face. Like, we know we're good. We're on this winning streak. We could be a little more humble about it. I don't know. It even bothers me a little bit, even as a American.
I agree. I see. I agree.
I love a little bit of boasting. What do you mean? There are basketball players who make millions of dollars. But what, don't you just want to be the extra guy? Like the
that
alternate?
doesn't have to do a
like,
lot.
I want to be the alternate who doesn't get called in at all and still gets a gold medal.
Right, exactly. Oh, and okay, so again, this is more of an American thing. I don't know if he made this as big of a deal for you guys, but our Steven, whatever his last name is, our pommel horse guy for the men's gymnastics, was he a big deal to any of your media people or anything?
No.
Because, okay.
I mean, I saw a lot of memes about him on Twitter or X. Yeah, but...
Because he, like...
Yeah.
He would take his glasses off and he was only there to do pommel horse.
Right.
Like he didn't do anything else.
Yeah.
And so he would take his glasses off. So they had all these things about him being like Clark Kent and Superman. Like
so also funny you mentioned that.
Do the pommel horse.
Because I was
so good.
It's probably everywhere, like on social media, on YouTube. And now I just can't find the full video that I saw.
I don't know if they really showed him like taking the glasses off, but he was the very last person to go in the team final. And so they showed him, even though the first two guys went and they did really well, he was trying to like stay in the zone, you know, not get too like whatever. So they showed him kind of sitting there with his eyes closed and trying to whatever. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing we saw, he was like kind of already had his warm, like they came back from commercial and kind of did it.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So it wasn't full on.
Yeah, I definitely remember seeing the full video at first, but after all the media attention was focused on him, that video just got buried, I guess.
You guys probably, you're big.
Yeah, Léon Marchand.
Francis, yeah, I was just going to say, you're a swimmer.
Yes.
You have a swimmer now. Congratulations.
Léon Marchand.
Swimmer.
I mean, everybody's talking about him. He's 4 gold medals. We're so proud of him. And it made him the athlete that is the most decorated athlete for the Paris 2024. And that's why at the closing ceremony, he was the one who actually took the flame from next to the cauldron and brought it to the stadium, Stade de France. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's now a big thing apparently in France. Before him, it was Florent Manodou. And Florent Manodou is still there. He still won a medal.
He won a silver, right?
He won a silver. Yeah. So he's still there. But... Yeah, this other guy that appeared out of nowhere. It's not out of nowhere, but I mean it's out of nowhere Olympically.
But these young guys. I mean, there's like old interviews. Did you see the old interview of Tom Daley? Well, because Tom Daley has been like 5.
He's so little.
Was it 4? He's been to 4 or 5 Olympics.
Yeah.
Right.
Was
in his career.
First one, maybe?
Yeah, he's been. I mean,
he's 30 years old.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
He's old for his discipline. Like,
and to still be medaling, you know, and to be able to see these old interviews like him and his old
the story behind it? You know the story behind the Tom Daley's being part of these Olympics or no?
Because of his kid. His kids wanted to see him in the Olympics. It was so cute.
It was a request from his kid. He wanted to see his daddy getting a medal at the Olympics. So yeah.
Because he's married to Lance Black. He's a screenwriter and stuff. He's also
Lance
famous.
Black,
Exactly.
Yeah, that's his name. Dustin Lance.
Exactly. I met them both in Rio. I was hoping that I could run into Tom Daley again.
I was running into him every day, morning and afternoon.
No need to brag, Patrick.
I will. On that specific thing, I will.
Yeah, I was hoping to run into him again, then, so we can take another photo so I can see, 8 years ago, us, and then 8 years later.
I didn't take a photo because every time it wasn't a suitable
but moment. I didn't run into any athlete this time.
Yeah. Well, if you're not at the entrance of the athlete, I don't know where you would, apart from seeing them from far behind.
Yeah, they wouldn't come to the main press center or the Olympic Family Hotel. So
yeah, they would not.
There's very little chance for me to run into
because
them.
their actual family isn't there in the Olympic Family Hotel.
Right.
They should call it something else.
Yeah.
So it's very confusing for sure.
This Olympics was the first Olympics, and maybe it was just Team USA. I guess I don't know. That had a nursery. You could bring your kids and they'd be taken care of. I don't know if it was for everybody, but I know Allison Felix, one of our track and field stars,
athletics.
We call it track and field. You guys call it athletics.
I was wondering. I was like,
in English, it's athletics.
Like all the sports, no?
Yeah, we call it track and field.
In English, it's athletics.
It's track
In
and field.
England, from England.
But see, to us, athletics, like anything sporty, is athletic.
Actually, for the story in our previous episode, I was recording it. I was in the US actually live. We were recording it from Brookings, South Dakota, and that was episode 13 or 14, Paris Olympics, either part 1 or part 2. And we were talking about the venues. It was part 2. We were talking about the different venues, and I was saying, okay, so in Stade de France there will be athletics. And then Tasha looked at me and she didn't understand, like, what are you talking about? Like, what athletics? I was like, do you really? And in my mind,
yeah, I agree.
And in my mind is like, do you really want to go into that much of a detail, like which kind of athletics? And in my head it was like, which kind of track and field, you know? So I was like, do you really want to?
You thought I was asking, like, is that shot put and javelin? Like,
and I was like, do you really want to know if it's like, you know, that specific track, 100 meter or 200 meter, like, who cares? He's like, this question is not.
No, because I know that track and field, it's all in the same place. Like, I know it's all in the same place. But to us,
in my head, it was like,
But
I did not understand it until I met the U.S. safety officer of the diving team. Shout out to Blaine. And actually, she said, "What athletic are you talking about? Like, which discipline are you talking about?" And we were like, well, athletics, like, and then we figured that out at that moment. And then I sent you a text message right away with a video and with the phone.
And I think I went, oh.
And I went, and then we texted and then we researched. And actually, athletics is correct, but in English. And in American English, it's track and field.
To me personally, track and field makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because I guess in Chinese, the corresponding word is field and track.
Oh,
so yeah. So it's similar to American English.
And for us, athletics makes sense because in French, it's athlétisme. So when we say in French athlétisme, it's athletics, athlétisme, athletics. So it's the same word. You know what I mean?
But like, let's say like your swimmer, how do you say his name? Leon
Marchand.
That guy. You wouldn't say like, oh yeah, he does sports. He's athletic.
He's an athlete. He's a swimmer. He's an athlete swimmer doing swimming.
What? Okay, if someone that's on the athletics team, what do you call them?
An athlete as well. Like,
do you call them a runner or a
depends on what category of athletics he's doing. Like, we have a word for, you know, there is a word that is specific to that, you know, kind of.
Yeah, we have that too, but like, to
so
us, athletic, like, I would say everybody, I would say every Olympian is athletic.
Yeah,
because they do sports.
Because they are athletes. Because they are athletes, correct. But athletism. Well, I know I see what you mean. Because the word athletism can also refer to the fact that, you know, an athlete can be a swimmer. You know, so I see what you mean. But if for some reason you have to complain to England.
Please God,
you know, go complain to England, not to me.
I suppose the S at the end changed the meaning from athletic to athletics.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention is because in rhythmic gymnastics, France also was in the final, and rhythmic gymnastics needs more appreciation because have you watched that ever? Where they're throwing the hoops and the balls?
I've watched some, and I've seen one of your stories also. It was so
that takes incredible skill.
Yeah.
Especially when they do the team event. There's all 5 of them. Like, they're bouncing things.
All of these rings flying all over, and then they managed to up there. I took it back and then I threw it again, and everybody's coordinated.
And they're doing it like they're pirouetting and jumping and leaping, and they're just happen to be in the right. Like, they literally don't look up. They just like put their hand out, and the hoop is there. Like, it is so amazing to me. Yeah. And then I also think, like you mentioned, the artistic swimming. I think
artistic swimming is wow. I was so happy to see it live. I was so happy to see it. Even live is even more impressive. Like, wow. Actually, I learned also that the music is also underwater.
They said that during the commentating.
I did not know that. These are speakers, underwater speakers.
And also some of the swimmers, they'll show on TikTok how they do their hair. Their hair and makeup. It's like shellacked. Like, it is so much gunk in their hair to keep it there.
Yeah, exactly.
But they said it's gelatin, no? Gelatin, like they put like some sort of gelatin on layers and layers on the hair.
Wow. Yeah.
So then it became, yeah, exactly. So, but then they say it's like a hair mask, and then afterwards the hair is like finished off. So like, yeah, let me try that.
So yeah, I think those deserve more respect. I love watching the trampolining too. Some people are like, get trampolining out of the Olympics. I'm like, no, I think it's interesting.
A new discipline was BMX. Have you seen it?
BMX, I did watch some of the, not like the individual stuff, but like the races on the course. I watched some of that. That was cool. See, there's some people in America that think that kind of stuff should stay with the X Games. Like it shouldn't be part of the Olympics. But I think the Olympics, if it wants to keep going, it needs a younger audience. So they need to bring in some of that stuff, you know?
And for the BMX, France has won the gold, the silver, and the bronze. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. At the same time. The breakdancing, though, will not be back in 2028. Did you hear that already?
It won't be back. It's so unfortunate.
Besides the Australian, Reagan, I thought it was actually really fun to watch. Like, I thought they did some really cool stuff, actually. I'm for it.
So why is it not going back to LA 2028?
I think, honestly, even before this Olympics, it was announced it wasn't going to be part of 2028.
Yeah, it was just a trial, no? There was like 5 or 6 disciplines that they added to try.
Olympic hosting committee, they get to decide to add some trial events and sports to that particular Olympic Games, and some get to stay and some don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like in LA, they're gonna have baseball, right? Or something.
Yeah, they're bringing that back because we used to have baseball and softball every Olympics, and then it went away for a while, but it's gonna be back. So I think that makes sense though, because those two sports are actually all over. You know, it makes more sense. And as an American, and breakdancing was invented in New York, I wanted the Americans to do better, you know, but, you know, we didn't. Yeah. We got silver? No, bronze. Our guy got bronze, I think. He was
unfortunate that the Australian lady, I don't know if you guys have read about her, but it's like, all a big scam. I don't know, like she's not really a breakdancer, and
she has like a PhD in some sort of cultural studies or something. So she was picked for the team somehow. I guess some of what she says is a little valid, that she makes up a lot of her own stuff because there is a creativity, originality scoring, and you're not supposed to repeat any of your tricks and moves. Like that will deduct points if you do the same flair a bunch of times. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, but even I watched that live and I was like, is this really the best Australia hat? Like, I don't understand.
I mean, apparently it's definitely not. But I haven't really read into why that came to be that she was selected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think she should be getting death threats and stuff. She said she's had so much hate online that that's...
Yeah, I mean, she got a 0 score. That is that's what she deserved, I guess. Yeah.
That's the other side of the social media then, right? Like for the Olympics, like it's great that people can put stuff out, but then on the other hand, a lot of people are getting like backlash and hate from fans and people all over the world to an extent that it's like they're an athlete, they're not prepared to handle this amount of backlash, which is unfortunate.
I agree.
Yeah. And let's go back to gymnastics for a second, because there is some controversy for the floor routine medals. You guys are aware of the Jordan Childs thing, and
I am not.
Patrick's like, I have no idea. Okay, so so on floor exercise, there's an all-around medal where you have to do all of them and you get a medal for being the best at everything, and then they have individual apparatus medals. And so on floor exercise, Simone got first, and then was she first? No, first was Brazilian girl, Rebecca.
The Brazilian lady.
And then it was Simone, and then originally it was a Romanian athlete named Anna something. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her name. But in gymnastics, like a lot of sports, you can put in a inquiry, or like you can say challenge the scoring, like why did whatever. So then they challenged for Jordan's floor routine because one of her skills was counted as like a double and not a triple, which it was actually completed as a triple, I guess. And so that then gave her a 10th more of a point, where she got the bronze medal. But all this happened. I felt so bad for this Romanian gymnast because she thought she had bronze. She's like taking pictures with her flag. She's all excited on the sidelines. And then the score changes.
Oh, yes, I've heard of it.
And then Jordan gets all excited, and then, whatever. They took the famous picture where they bowed down to Rebecca. That was very good sportsmanship. And they competed against her for years and they know her. But then the Romanians, the next day or even that day, they appealed that decision, saying that the American team put in their inquiry too late. because you only have so much time after
that one.
performance.
I think I know what this is about too.
So then
like 4
Jordan
seconds
had to
too
give
late
her,
or something.
Yeah, so then Jordan had to give her medal back, but then Team USA said, no, we have like time-stamped footage saying that we did everything like to the... I'm of the mindset right now at this point, just give them both a bronze.
Right.
Because if it's that minutia, like they both are awesome, just give them I don't know. I just feel like we don't need to be ripping medals out of people's hands.
That's the problem when you have judges, you know.
Yes. Some people prefer the sports like swimming, the track, like everything that's you're either faster or you're not. You either threw it further or you didn't. You know, there is something to be said for those.
Yeah,
sports.
but when you're in these kind of sports, you're only judging the performance. You're not judging the way they're doing it, but you're judging the end results.
And the way they do the scoring now too, a routine, like Simone stepped out on her floor exercise out of bounds a bunch of times, but her starting difficulty score is so high that she can still mess up and win.
Yeah.
Because she's doing tricks that are so much harder than other people.
Yeah.
And then, but to a layman watching it, they're just like, well, the other person never fell or never went out of bounds. Why didn't they win? But it's like, because they weren't doing triple, quadruple, blah, blah, blahs, you know, like.
That's exactly it.
But I don't know. I just feel bad for both the Romanian and Jordan. Like, I don't know. It's rough. I just think, you know, let's go chip away another piece of the Eiffel Tower, make another bronze medal.
Do you think they have like do you think they know exactly how many medals they should be distributed and they made the exact right amount of medal?
That's what they do because they know.
There's been a couple ties. There's been a couple ties, I think. I think ties. They have to. Yeah, every once in a while someone
also, if there's a tie,
like,
they both get a medal.
Right. And so they have to make a few extra because they don't know if there's going to be a tie.
Okay.
Where did these extra medals go is the question. Like, if they
that's the problem.
There's probably one sitting around that they can give to Jordan and the Romanian. Like, that's what I'm saying.
But because I saw that they're only worth like...
And to me, who worked 3 months...
like $900 or something, yeah. Exactly. They're not worth that much, actually.
There has been some backlash about some of the medals, like, already tarnishing or like...
They should do 45,000 medals and give it to volunteers.
Is exactly it. You guys did the work. You guys do the work, babes.
But back to the Jordan Childs thing, she even, when all the controversy started, speaking of the online backlash, she was like, she went silent on all her social media. She like, I don't want to say like canceled her accounts, but you know, she was like, for my mental health, I can't read all these.
Yeah, I think you know? For a lot of people, they do that, right? Because it's too much.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you know sitting on your couch talking shit about people? You know what I mean? Like sending them death threats because, you know, it's like, what?
And that's why, like, even though I didn't think Reagan did that great, I still did not think I needed to go online and tell her how bad she was. Like, I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, there are
I'm
some
it now, but that's
there's some criticism is like valid, and there's some criticism is just personal harassment.
Yes. And that's Simone Biles talked about that a lot because at the last Olympics, you know, she took herself out of the team competition and she was the favorite to win. America was the favorite to win. We ended up still getting silver. But also because Americans take this stuff too seriously. They were like, you let down your country, like treason. Like people were after her.
Exactly.
And it was like, guys, she just didn't want to die doing a vault. Like, let's, you know what I mean? Like, can we just let her live? Like,
well, and they're like, they say what? They're like, you know, you can't come back from this, you know, blah, blah, blah. This is the end of your career. And she did. And the other people on the team, they also had injuries and things like that. And they also all came back and they all did even better. So...
Yeah, and there was a big debate because back in the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta, that's when Carrie Strug did the vault where she landed and like broke her ankle. And it was, but she was like this big hero. You did it. We got the gold. But now in hindsight, we look at that and we're like, should a 16-year-old be risking her well-being just for a medal? Like, or, and not just for a medal. The Olympics are a big deal, but like that is a career-ending injury. Like, you know,
yeah,
like,
and gymnastics is a dangerous sport.
Yeah, like so has been this kind of debate about and the whole gymnastics culture was not good for a lot of time. So I mean, there's just been a whole big sort of change in the guard and stuff. So, but anyway.
Yeah. Are we talking about the Algerian boxer?
Ooh, do you want to? I was real quick before we talk about her.
Is it a sensitive topic?
It doesn't have to be, but the world wants it to be.
Yeah, Tasha, you wanted to say something before?
Speaking of Algeria, you reminded me because one of your Paris female gymnasts didn't make the French team. Her dad's Algerian and she competed for Algeria. Sometimes when Americans do that, I get upset a little bit because it's like you'll just claim whoever will take you kind of or whatever.
Yeah.
But I get also just wanting to like be in the Olympics, you know. So I didn't know if there was...
But the problem, well, not her problem. The problem is that the French team wanted her to move to Paris and leave her coach and train in Paris with a different coach, and she said no. And so they kind of blacklisted her from events and things like that. And she was like, okay, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
I'm leaving. You know? Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about me. Like I'm fine. And she's got a medal and fuck them.
Yeah. Well,
no,
I don't know what to think about that because
how you guys feel about when athletes do that, you know?
Well, I can understand her point of view because I mean, at some point, if this team is not selecting her and she definitely wants to be part of the Olympics and it's a one in a lifetime opportunity, I can definitely understand that she would like work on getting on another team if this other team wants her to be part of the team. Mm-hmm. So this does not shock me. Honestly, this does not shock me because the Olympics is not just like, you know, serving the dreams of the spectators or the TV viewers, but it's also a personal achievement. Like being an Olympic champion is something that you will keep in your mind and in your, let's say, it's something that you will stay on for your whole life. So definitely I actually admire the fact that she did everything she can in order to be part of this.
And then also the refugee team also won their first medal, which I thought was really exciting.
I was like,
it's like you know, like they finally were able to win a medal.
And French, I feel like, can have a little piece of Simone Biles' medals because her coaches are French. And their daughter actually is on the French diving team.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Because there is the tied gymnastics, a lot of the flips and stuff they do. A lot of divers start in gymnastics and then if they can't hack it or whatever, they'll go to diving. Or it's just a little, you know, it's like similar but different. Anyway, boxing.
So, what do you think? So, first of all, for the story, the Algerian boxer.
Iman something?
Iman. She started like, you know, winning pretty much all the competitions. And then at some point, one of her opponents,
the Italian boxer, right?
The Italian boxer brought up the fact.
She knew her. They have trained together
before.
Because she trains in Italy, so she knows her.
She knows her. And then,
I didn't know that part.
And then she brought up the fact that the Algerian boxer Iman was born with a certain advantage, which is to have a bit more of a male hormone, testosterone, in her body than a regular average woman. So then the question was raised about like, would this Iman is allowed to compete with women, or she's not allowed to compete with anyone, or she has to compete with men, etc. And when I first started hearing about this, you know, all of this story, I thought that we're talking about a trans woman. And then it turned out...
No, people are assuming she was trans and not telling. Like, that's what people were... That's how I took it.
That's what J.K. Rowling, that's what Elon Musk did. They said she was trans and playing, which isn't the case.
Which is not the case. So then I realized and I learned that it's not the case. So we're really talking about women to women, but it's just that it happened that Iman...
But it's also, that's why like transphobia is bad for everybody. Because if you are born female, but you're not pretty enough, you're not cute enough, you have too deep of a voice, like there's all these things that aren't feminine enough, and then someone can be like, no, you're this, or, you know, it's still not. It's bad for everybody to just assume these things. And there was a story that was kind of misinformation that came out that Iman was disqualified from a prior thing because of some of these testings or something. But that was also turned out to be kind of false, or wasn't.
It was done by a organization, I forgot the acronym, that was disqualified from being in charge of running testing because there was lots of internal corruption and political influence scandals. And when they went to ask the president of that organization about the testing, they were like, oh, we didn't really have any evidence of Iman having any sort of male hormones that's abnormal. So people are just literally
making
making stuff out of nowhere and then believing that's true and then using that as something to harass athletes.
Yep.
And the Italian boxer tried saying something like she's never been hit that hard before by any other woman or something. And Aman did go on to win, but Aman has a history of losing. It's not like she just shows up and beats everybody. You know what I mean? It's not like she really has any big advantage. Like she has lost before.
And the testosterone thing is a problem. I watched a whole video on it, a documentary about the testosterone limits for women. It's one of the ways that they test or whatever, like how do they qualify what is a woman?
Yeah.
And who can participate in women's sports, and making sure that men aren't participating in women's sport,
what are the results of this testing?
So the idea is that there is a testosterone limit. So there is a limit, and so there's certain athletes, especially in track and field athletics, who aren't able to compete because their testosterone level is too high for the Olympic Committee.
Some women, it is sort of naturally occurring. It's not really,
it happens.
Like some women just do have some more like even Brittany Griner is one of our women's basketball players. She has a very deep voice. She's also been targeted by people saying that they don't think she's actually a she or whatever. It's just whatever. People just.
And also there is no
about
perfect testing for this kind of thing, right? The International Olympic Committee, they just decided on that, okay, this is the most reliable test we could do. But even for each individual who has different testosterone levels in their body, it doesn't just solely determine if their performance is going to be the best, because there are other
apparently
factors
back in the day,
like techniques
but
you
also
might not have. Not everything is about strength. And also related to the hormones, like not everybody's body absorbs the testosterone hormone the same way. So that also changes things. Right.
Is some of the testing for the testosterone also related to some of the performance enhancing stuff? Is that kind of why they test?
No. This is just for the women's sports, right? For this one, and apparently back in the day, they used to do tests where you had to strip naked. Like the athletes had to strip naked and show their genitals, right? So like they've been. The qualifications have changed over time, obviously, because people are like, no, you can't do that. But
also, like intersex people exist, so you can't really just examine genitals and determine.
This is exactly it. Yeah.
And a lot of people bring up too that Aman is from Algeria, where it is literally illegal to be trans.
Exactly.
So, I don't know.
They think that Algeria would be the country out of all the countries to be sending someone to represent their country.
And there have also been photos of her as a child that she's clearly, I don't know. It was all just baseless. It was all just baseless.
Anyway,
and she's suing them now. She's suing them now.
Yeah.
And she won.
She won. She won the medal.
Yeah, did she win? And she won the medal.
Good for her.
And she won the medal. And hopefully she takes enough money.
Going back to, like you said, that testing facility had some corruption. There was another part to the Jordan Childs Romania bronze thing. One of the judges in gymnastics has like a conflict of interest with Romania. So they think that this judge may have kind of like swayed the, like it wasn't totally impartial or whatever. So we'll see. It's ongoing.
What was his nationality, this judge?
I don't know if he's actually Romanian or if he just like
has a connection.
Yeah, it has some connection to Romania.
Yeah.
So the closing ceremony.
Tom Cruise and Snoop Dogg. And then I thought about Snoop Dogg again, and I was like, oh yeah, that's why Snoop Dogg also was the correspondent, because he is like the emblem of LA.
Cali.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, so smart.
And I think NBC sent him because he's one of the new judges on The Voice, so it was a big crossover thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
but the closing ceremony, I would say, after the opening ceremony being so amazing, it was kind of like meh, meh. Like
it was a bit. It was chiller. It was chiller.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was a little bit of a letdown after the spectacle of the opening, but it was still. But
fun. We had the band Phoenix. We had also.
I didn't realize they were French. I didn't know that.
Well, it's a French band, but we also have another French band that did the soundtrack for the movie Driver. Night Call by Kavinsky.
The opening, and I don't even like that song, but now it has to happen. Like
I love that song. It's like amazing.
Can you hear it? Yeah, and we had Isolde. We had that she sang "I Did It My Way" at the very end.
She was great.
She was really nice. She's a very famous French singer now, and she's becoming even more famous than Aya. Beware, Aya.
Also, the girl that sang your French national anthem was really good in the opening.
Oh yeah,
and she was up on the
right,
thing with the flag
Grand
and her
Palais,
pretty
correct.
dress. Like she was really good.
I was very happy with the selection that they made, because did you see that certain French musicians, like David Guetta, for example, like they were getting asked a lot, like, oh, how do you feel about not getting the call?
I think that the organizer of the opening and closing ceremony doesn't really like David Guetta. He had some issues with him, or he doesn't really like him. Yeah, that's what I've heard. So that's why he wasn't invited to either the opening or the closing ceremony.
I also didn't realize David Guetta was French. I don't know.
David Guetta is
where
French.
People are from.
Kavinsky, that did Night Call for the soundtrack Driver, is French. Phoenix is French. All of those who sang in the closing ceremony are French, except Angèle. She's from Brussels. She's Belgium. You know, Angèle sang with Dua Lipa. She said the song Fever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know that one. It's on my Spotify.
Yeah.
That's usually how the opening and closing, it usually is. Whoever's hosting people from there.
Yeah,
I mean, that's usually how it is.
Yeah.
But.
And then we had a beach shack in LA with Billie Eilish trying to do ridiculous stuff.
But that's how Billie. Have you not heard that song? She's very quiet on that song. Even
okay, but if she's quiet and the song is quiet, why the hell did she do this with the microphone? Like. It was so ridiculous. Like, no, just keep the microphone close to your mouth and don't do this.
And Patrick even messaged me and he goes, "What do you think of the closing?" And I said, what I first said was, after the opening, it seemed a little not as exciting, but it was still fun or whatever. And he's like, "Well, LA's going to be pretty sad if that's what they're coming with." Like, because I guess there was a lot of people that
I was not the one saying that. The American press is saying that.
See, and I have not read anything
Los Angeles Times, New York Times were very, very, very. They wrote is this really what we're gonna do? Like after Paris, this is what we're gonna do.
Well, but that's not the actual opening.
They still have 4 years to get this shit together.
Yeah, and I didn't think it was bad. It showcased they were on a beach. It's what California is. Yeah. It was it was all.
The press is being
hard
on you, but it means that they're expecting a lot from LA 28.
Yeah, it was. We do have a lot to live up to because Paris opening was really good. But I mean, it was Red Hot Chili Peppers, Snoop and Dre, Billie Eilish, and then it went on the show. I don't know if you guys saw this, but then there was 2 more hours of Venus Williams interviewing athletes and more performances. I think that was more an American thing, get us hyped for the next Olympics or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't watch all of it because it went on way too long. Mm-hmm. But I think it'll be fun, especially because even for the skateboarding stuff, that's kind of more of an American thing. And there's and they're bringing baseball back, and baseball's American pastime. But
it's time for it to come back to the US, I think.
And we do have a lot of LA-based entertainers. So
that's what I'm saying. That's you guys for the opening ceremony. You guys, for the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony, you're going to you line up all your A-stars, you're in Hollywood A-stars and singers, all the singers, internationally known singers. Obviously, I'm pretty sure that the show will be interesting to watch.
And Tom Cruise, to me, being there, I get that with the Hollywood tie-in, he's a movie star, action star. He's just always a little problematic to me because he's Scientology and stuff. But they could have found somebody else. I was a little surprised that it was Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? I was like, isn't he over? It feels like no. I don't know who else. I mean, even George Clooney would make more sense. He's not an action star, I guess. But I do think it should be. I'm sure Snoop will be back for. It's gonna be cool.
It's gonna be the Snoop Olympics. Yeah, Snoop is definitely gonna. It's his Olympic Games, and we're just here to watch.
There were a few Americans that were I don't know how I feel about, because, Snoop, he obviously used to be drug dealer, gangster rap, all this stuff. But I mean, obviously now he's best friends with Martha Stewart.
And they're always who only one of the two of them has gone to jail, and it's not Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. And since he had kids, he got really into youth sports. He would sponsor a lot of teams, and I mean, I think he's still a decent representative because he really is kind of what America is supposed to stand for, being able to make it and have dreams and give back, and you know what I mean. That's what we're supposed to.
I think it's great.
Yeah, and he seemed genuinely happy to be there. Like everything he said, like every family member he met, it was just like
his special pin that he made.
Yeah, and he has, just because he is a rapper, when they would cut to him for little soundbite, he always had like the best little one-liners.
He
like,
knew it.
So good.
I hope he asked for a raise because he carried the Olympics on his back. Like he carried it.
Yeah, I loved the one meme that was going around where this guy was like, my dad said he's really enjoyed watching Snoop at the Olympics, and I had to remind him that he took his CD away from me when I was in 8th grade.
yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I think he's
and we're looking forward for LA28.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Are we all gonna volunteer? That's the idea.
Probably as volunteers as well. So if you guys have listened to the previous segment, we talked about us being volunteering. Yeah, if we won the lottery, we'll be there to talk about LA28 from inside as well. From inside.
I want to be Snoop Dogg's assistant.
Yeah, is that a volunteer job? Can you be?
I want to be paid. Sorry.
You want to be paid to be a Snoop Dogg's assistant, okay? Yeah.
Well,
he probably has that.
Yeah. I think he's already staffed. He's not. I know.
They can have an accident. Something.
Yeah. Maybe if he watches or listens to this episode, Snoop Dogg.
I'm here. You can call me anytime.
Oh God. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. We've been recording for a long time, but we had a lot of things to say because Olympics. It's Olympics. So this marks the end of this saga of 4 episodes. Hopefully we're gonna do another one for the next Olympics. However, meanwhile, keep diving and keep in mind that if you like this episode, you could subscribe to my podcast on the platform you're listening from, whether it's Anghami, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Deezer, Spotify, or even YouTube. You will find all the information on my website, patricksayag.com/PatPanksCast. Also, please send me some feedback on this episode or on the podcast in general. Or if you have anything to add on your own experience of the Olympics, it will be a pleasure to read your comments. See you next month, Spangies!
All I want